How are you? I'm Mills Lane, and this is the lane for October the 13th, 2020. Tonight, we'll take a look at Florida, America's testing state, wanting to get down with the 90,000 people in the stands. We'll also look at our president and one of the CDC doctors that have been steering us through this pandemic. And also, we'll talk about comedian Bill Burr and his attempt at Saturday Night Live hosting. Thank you for joining the lane. I'm Mills Lane again. And as always, our show is sponsored by the great folks at Wash While You Work. Wash While You Work, located in Charlotte, North Carolina. Wash While You Work, it does mobile detailing. So it does what it says it does. While you're working, you can have your car washed from Wash While You Work. Website is up at washwhileyouwork.com, where you'll see testimonies from the great supporters of Wash While You Work mobile detailing services. So let's get started. Yes, our great president, Donald Trump, while he's had a rough couple of weeks, considering he could not denounce white supremacy and end up catching COVID-19 in the process. We have finally received word that he has 2 negative tests, so I guess the COVID's gone from out of his system. But we've been having great issues, I should say, him and the guy pictured with him is Dr. Anthony Fauci. So we're at the point where Fauci says that Trump's campaign is harassing him with an unauthorized ad. So it's kind of interesting because they pretty much have not said the same thing at all during this whole pandemic crisis. Fauci's just been up here. He's trying to, and I'm not saying he's not trying to play both sides, but he's trying to not make either side look stupid. I think that's the best way to put it for Fauci. He's literally, and we're as we all are, pretty much playing it by ear as far as what's actually going on with the pandemic causing virus we call coronavirus, aka COVID-19. The only way that we will understand is with time, and everything takes time. But it's one thing to need time from your boss, and his boss is Trump. Let's not mince words here. And he is definitely just probably annoying to the point where Fauci's still, he knows what his job is, so he's trying his best to actually keep the guidelines under control, try to educate, like we had to go through the whole mask thing. Do the masks work? Do they not work? At the same time, Trump is trying to rally his base by, saying, hey, the masks, we don't really need them. COVID's a hoax. And so for the president to have ads that are attacking Fauci is just pretty much to the point of no control. He's trying to serve a base of people. And this base of people pretty much, it's like some of the ones that live in Florida are, and we'll talk about them a little bit later, but they are, scared to ever think that their freedom is under attack. And when you say freedom, it's just a right to do what I want, provided I'm not hurting anybody else, which wouldn't be okay in some parts under certain circumstances. But as we know of COVID, it's spread by air. We cannot see it. And the only thing that we do know is that people can pass it to each other with close contact. Therefore, the social distancing guidelines have been enacted. So, how it's playing out, Trump has fired, a lot of people early on, and trying to fire Fauci would be not in his best interest. So you put a little pressure on him to say, try to make what he's saying sound like it's kind of pointless or it's misleading, starting to cast doubt in his Fauci supporters' head. So what would that do? That would enact, or you would probably hope that Fauci would quit. But for Fauci to come out and say that the ads are harassing him, harassment's a strong word in the workforce. So I'm interested in how this goes further. I think Fauci should lawyer up. I think he should get ready. We're about 20 or something odd days away from the election. So as we're getting close to that point, COVID's still real. The cases are starting to go up in some places. So it is very important that we need the best information possible, other than our president's 3 days having the COVID and magically getting cured of it. So that's my theory and thoughts on that. I do hope to get a little bit more better understanding as to this relationship here. So it could get dark quick. Biden may reach out to Fauci, see what he knows, and maybe he has some information. But of course, Fauci can't work with Biden because he's under Donald Trump right now. So we'll keep an eye on this kind of, sort of, as this plays out. And this is how we're going to view it on the lane.
Kind of a weird thing happening here with Giannis. He's still putting up unbelievable numbers, and he's still an unstoppable force, but he's a little out of control, like anger-wise. You see the headbutt the other day? Yeah. He's had a couple of those kind of things. In the bubble? Yeah, he's had like 2 or 3 different situations where he either cheap shotted a guy or kind of got into a mini scuffle.
Well, on the lane, I like to do serious. I like to do funny. I like to do sports, just trying to make it all make sense. And so this next story, it falls right in, as we are looking at the Florida Gators head coach, Dan Mullen. Earlier, I was trying to get some information on the story, and Dan Mullen wanted to get 90,000 fans into their stadium. And, okay, what am I thinking? What are we talking about here? We're talking, I said, Florida, America's, test subject. So Dan he understands, in his mind, football is importance. And a lot of college coaches have been talking about football's importance this whole pandemic. As far I've heard, Coach Ed Orgeron from the defending champion LSU, and other coaches, they're like, if you go outside and there's like, softball leagues playing, there's kids leagues, football, Pee-wee football, Pop Warner football, all this going on right now. And why should college football not be able to participate? And as we've seen in the National Football League, based on the location, some cities have chosen not to provide seating arrangements for their fans based on the level of COVID and the level of pandemic in their area. So especially a lot of, let's call them Democrat-controlled states, have not had a lot of seats filled. But that's starting to change. Pennsylvania, we just enacted the right for, I think it's 25% of the fans to come into stadiums. And even Philadelphia, we just got the word today that at Eagles games, they'll be allowed at least, I think, 7,500 fans, which is a far cry from the 60,000 plus that the stadium holds. But home field advantage means something, and especially with the fans in the stands. And Mr. Mullen here, he understands that very well. And he was so ready for 90,000 of the fans of Florida Gators, and of course the other team that they're playing, the student section. Unfortunately, these guys had a lot of COVID-19 failures recently. As today, I believe it's 19 students tested positive for COVID from the Florida Gators. So that's going to, wait a minute, 27 positive tests, which is 18 players and 9 staff members. Yeah, that makes it a little bit more different. So that was just terrible. But it's just Florida enough. And yes, keeping an understanding. It's hot soup theory. You know, you're hungry, you put the soup on, and you take it out, you put it in a bowl, and burn your tongue. The pandemic is not to be played with, of course. But at what stake? With these low capacities or no capacities, there are tons of dollars not being spent. I'll take, let's go to Florida. So if you have 90,000 seats and the student body doesn't use all of those seats, so you have alumni, and the alumni come to the game, so they have to stay at a hotel. They have to eat at restaurants. So this weekend, they may buy more memorabilia. They may visit some sites that they didn't get to when they were there, or maybe run back to the frat house and just take a look at their pictures or whatever you do in a college town. All of those activities have been shelved because of not having fans in the stands. So this is a tremendous blow, not only to the NCAA and the money they're making, because they are still making ad money and revenue based on being on television. But as far as the other businesses in these communities, they stand to not be able to exist. So that's the issue with not opening up as fast, but opening up too fast. As you can see, especially with college students, where majority of them, when they're not playing a sport or trying to study in books or sleep or eat, that fifth part of time is spent socializing. So we have to understand that you're dealing with young adults and these things happen. 18 players is very substantial. Never knows which 18 it is. Most colleges have 80 scholarships on hand, but it's very important to understand that we're not quite there. And sports is a secondary, thought process. But the businesses that are being hurt by these sports not being able to play is the real problem. And that's where wanting the 90,000 doesn't sound like a bad idea. It's just, how do we actually keep the players and the fans COVID free. You send them home. You play virtual football. No. So until we get everything under control, it's a safe bet to think that these things are not going to go away just yet, especially before the election. I think it's going to stay a part of this our news cycle with the COVID-19. Hopefully, we can get a reset button on January 1st, 2021. And finally, tonight, the season of Saturday Night Live started off last week with Chris Rock and Megan Thee Stallion was the musical guest host. And Chris, he was working out some material, and some of it was real funny. I'm not going to hate on him. But then he went down the lane of voting, which is what I'm pretty sure that's what the message is these days to these celebrities. Just go out there and vote. So and Meg Thee Stallion, her performances were very, very powerful. And she kind of like broke in the middle of, shaking her behind to like let us know that, we got to stop disrespecting our black women and we got to protect the black men. And, and it was a very, very strong, hypnotizing video, or I should say performance. So the next week, in between, of course, we covered on the lane about Eddie Vedder passing. And I say Eddie Vedder, excuse me, you guys, I must be tired. Eddie Van Halen. A salute to Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam. All right, but Eddie Van Halen passed. So Jack White was the musical guest. But the host of the show was this guy, Bill Burr. Now, Bill Burr, for those who are not famous or that may not know, he's a comedian. He has several Netflix specials. I think one of the latest ones was called Paper Tiger. Yeah. So I follow Bill Burr. Like, I don't follow him like on social media or nothing, but I do listen to his podcast. If you like motor racing, like motorcycle racing, he talks about that. He talks about some of the sports, basketball, football, hockey, stuff like that. Life stuff, wife stuff. Got a kid now, got couple of kids. So nice. I mean, and then cuts in a couple jokes here and there. But that's basically the premise. So he was the host of Saturday Night Live on Saturday. And of course, when the comedians host, like I was talking about Chris Rock earlier, he's throwing in some jokes. Bill Burr, he tells jokes, and a lot of his jokes, they're genre jokes. And, if you like them, you're going to like the jokes. But he does something that I like, what everybody should do, is you make fun of everybody. So he pretty much had a line or two for everybody, every type of person. Well, let's say the major ones that get butthurt when somebody says something about them. So no, to nobody's surprise, Bill Burr, he actually caught a little bit of flack for he caught a little bit of flack for his performance on Saturday night. I'll just go a quick rundown of some of the material that that was irritating, I should say. Irritating. What do I care about irritating? But some of the material that got him in some is it trouble? Are we saying it's trouble? No, I'm not going to say it's trouble. It's just some material that he was saying that he did that our, based on the supremacy model where the president can't even admit that there's like racism and stuff like that. So, he's like, yeah, people are standing up for their rights and was oppressed. And he said, who's at the event that the white women actually had sex with the black men and got confronted about it? They would say it was not. Kudos to Bill Burr for laying down the law. And it's just funny because when people try to mess with him, he already got a white wife. So, excuse me, his wife black. So you can't really trap him that way. But of course, you can get mad at the monologue. But I'm pretty sure majority of the fans, I've spoken to a few, some that didn't like the show because I was like, well, he's not cursing. It's regular TV. But he definitely put out some valid points. Show is pretty good. And yeah, Jack White did a nice little tribute to Eddie Van Halen as well. So that's gonna be the program for the night. If you like what you like, please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Donations could be accepted at Mills Lane ACT. That's $ Mills Lane ACT. You have been watching The Lane. Thursday night, 7 p.m., American Culture Topics. And for The Lane, I'm Mills Lane saying good night, good day, and enjoy yourselves.